My client Adolfo just closed on a cash flowing rental property out of state through our passive income club right here at Real Estate Skills. This is our turnkey property placement service that we offer members of the Real Estate Skills community. Now, Adolfo is an experienced landlord, so this isn't his first rental property. However, it's the first time he leveraged our systems, network, and teams to buy an out-of-state property, sight unseen, that's cash flowing day one. So Adolfo, I'm super excited to have you on to share about your experience buying this property, but also your experience as a real estate investor and ultimately finding real estate skills to help you accomplish your goals in real estate. Thanks for taking time out of your day, Adolfo. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you for the invitation. And I'm glad to be here and getting an opportunity to talk to the community. And I hope everyone is having a great day today.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Certainly having a great day. Happy to talk to you. Been really looking forward to this. So, first off, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background? What were you doing before joining the Real Estate Skills program? If you have any prior real estate experience and, what was kind of your path before joining us?
Definitely. Well, I'm going to go pretty far. Might reveal my age at this point. When I was in high school, I always was interested in real estate. You know how it is, watching TV late night and carton sheets, if anybody remembers.
Oh, yeah.
That particular individual bought this program, went through it, and actually worked because my first property that I got to buy was a rental property with my brother. And we actually got to do that deal 100%, no down payment and 100% finance from the seller back then. It went well, and then I still continue also working. And then I bought several properties in the next town or the next state next to me, which is New Jersey. I bought there. Went very well. With actually 100% finance also. So I over leveraged myself and those. Got to sell it. Some of them, a few of them actually. And then we moved on. But the problem was that because I over leveraged myself, I found it very difficult. I had to be taking tenants immediately. Even though I did Section 8, it still was cumbersome because every moment I had to be over there managing the property as well as working. So that gave me personally a bad taste on over leveraging myself and stuff. So that's why that now, okay. And then after 2007 and 8, when everything went down, I actually I lost everything, literally everything. All right. So now I'm back, this time with a different mentality because of my experience. And I decided, hey, let me see what's out there and start all over again. And I guess one day I was going through my phone and I came up with Real Estate Skills, and I said, okay, let me listen to it. And I said, all right, let me join. And since then, it's been good. It's been slow because of, I work long hours. My background, so everybody will know. From high school, I used to be a banker. Worked at a bank, moved all the way up to branch manager. From there, I moved. This is my last career, which is a nurse, and I worked long hours. So as much as I would like to sometime dabble into more in the real estate business, it's kind of difficult for me, especially when I work long hours, over 12 hours a day, to actually be able to do that. So speaking with my wife, the best thing to do is turnkey properties. I think we were talking about some other stuff, and it came up that you were asking me what was I planning to do, and I told you buying turnkey property. Yes, now I remember. And you told me that you had a program in the community, and you gave me some contacts, and it just led to, actually, this is my first property with real estate skills, and so far it has gone phenomenal, phenomenal. We're looking to actually do another property recently right now. That'll be the second one. So overall, satisfied, and it's good.
Fantastic. No, thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people get caught up in the hype of the 100% financing and the no money down. And while in theory it makes a lot of sense, right, buying properties without having to put up any of your own money, but you can get into a situation where you are over leveraged and there's a lot of pressure to have to rent immediately or to anybody. So maybe you're a little bit looser on the criteria, just to get that rental income coming in. And so I think it's pretty cool how you shared that, you've experienced it yourself, and then ultimately, coming to where you are today and making the types of investments you are now, kind of just through that experience. So I'm curious kind of like what drew you into real estate in the first place. It sounds like you kind of found some of the old school programs, right? The Carlton sheets, back in the day. But ultimately, what kind of caused you to get into the industry in the first place?
Basically, even when I was in high school, I was just always interested in real estate. Listening to cartoon sheets and looking at what more successful people been able to do. The only thing in common that they have is real estate. And I said, okay, so real estate is a way that I looked at for several reasons. One, it wasn't just to try to become wealthy. I'm not actually that interested in that. What I am interested in having the peace of mind and having an income coming in, even though whether if I work, have an extra income, where I have that peace of mind. My biggest thing is at this time in my age, which I didn't recognize back then, is being able to have a game plan in place, execute it digitally, and be consistent while you're doing it. Uh, what I mean by that is like with my wife right now is like I told her that we want to actually I would like to actually build a rental portfolio, or a passive income, and the only way that we could do that is by consistently sticking to the game plan, putting the funds aside, and being able to acquire new property. But even after all of that, my biggest thing is my 8-year-old son. All right, I have two kids. All right, my first son is already a grown man, but my youngest one is 8 years old, and I would like to spend more time with my son. I mean, I realized that, and they grow up quick. My first son grew up. I had a great time with him, but it's not the same. Now it's like I'm actually more involved, and family is everything to me. So that will be my biggest why as to the reason why I'm doing it. And again, also, I understand that I won't be able to continue working these long hours for the rest of my life. So I need to actually set something aside that funds will be coming in. All right. So I could actually do the next thing that everyone likes to do is just enjoy their family, take a couple of trips, and just continue doing some deals.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. Real estate is one of those types of vehicles that can allow you to generate an income that you can truly, replace your salary, your active income, not have to rely on an employer, really forever, right? There's obviously time and place, to create that active income. But ultimately you see where you want to go in the future, spending more time with your family, ultimately, maybe not working those long hours forever, right? We can only work, 5-6 days a week for so long. So, I love how you're thinking of the future, and, you're setting yourself up for success, but also, your son as well, your whole family really. And, this is something that can be, built and passed on, for generations, which is really powerful. Were there any other types of investments outside of real estate that you've dabbled in over the years? I think traditionally most people, when they think of investing, it's the stock market, it's bonds. the more traditional route of investing. Have you had any experience with that? And if so,
Oh,
how would that compare to kind of what you're doing now with income property?
yes. Of course, and through employers, I did a 401k, and I've actually purchased common stocks, mutual funds, you name it. I basically almost had it, except for bonds. I wasn't too inclined in buying bonds, but overall, I've owned, and I still own a few, not as much besides the 401k. Um, but overall, between when I compare having stocks, the other thing about having stocks is that you have to actually be mindful. You got to be looking at how the market is doing. Also, the comments and, and the media, because a lot of the times those comments can actually affect your stocks. Uh, so I realized that what I love about property is tangible, is there. Uh, Even if whether it has a house or no house, it's always there. It lasts forever. Okay, it always has some value, regardless whether if it has an improvement built onto it or not. You're never going to lose that part. Uh, yes, is the growth different than the stock market? I mean, there are times that you buy an IPO and it might go skyrocket overnight and make you into a millionaire. Yes, if you're looking for that, then that's the way to go. Not me. I like the slow pace growth. All right. Real estate gives me that. Real estate gives me that, and that peace of mind, and have that property, know that no matter what happens, whether the house is, whether if it has an improvement or no improvement, it always has value. If you need to sell it, you could always sell it. Somebody's always looking to buy and develop a house and stuff like that. So overall, property is, to me, is the best commodity there is out there.
Yeah, I like to say real estate isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich for sure plan, right? If you stick to that
Mm-hmm.
plan, then over time you're continuously buying the right types of deals that make sense. Then it's almost an inevitability that you're going to grow and be better off than if you weren't investing in it. And a lot of times that does lead to meaningful wealth, meaningful income. So that's really what's so exciting about just kind of taking, even smaller actions, right? Just buying a house, maybe buying a couple houses a year, eventually that really starts to add up, and everything just kind of snowballs on top of each other. So, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
completely agree with you there. So as far as, buying this investment, through us, you've obviously bought properties in the past. Tell us a little about kind of your experience in the program, and, acquiring this deal through our turnkey concierge service. How has that been?
It's been good, and I'll be honest, yeah, Ryan, you made it easy. Okay, there's not that many program of real estate out there that actually you get to actually speak to one of the owners and receive that individual guidance and experience to guide you in purchasing an investment property, and real estate skill, especially you, Ryan, has been a strong rock and guiding me to making sure that, hey, this is the right move for me and my family to purchase. And the contact that you provided, and Nick, he's great. He's easygoing, no pressure, uh, but he does. If he believes that you're going to buy, he'll wait for you and close the deal, and even the management team to manage the property as well. Speaking with Jeff, uh, easy person to talk to express your concerns and stuff like that, which is important. And he actually brings it together, meaning the management aspect of it, because again, it's out of state. Actually, this is my actually first property that I purchased out of state. So it was kind of nervous, but for my wife and myself. But it's like I told her, I don't really want to be hands-on managing. I've already done that. I'm not that great at it, especially when I have to go to work.
Yeah.
So one of my criteria was with my wife is like, we need to manage it as a business. So if we're going to go out of state, we have to have a property management. So let's try to see if we can find somebody that's recommended and good. And that's where you came in with your recommendation, where to go and everything else. And looking at the numbers of the property, it just worked out. It's good.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I know it's a big deal, right? Buying a property, no matter how big or small, no matter how experienced you are, buying a piece of real estate, it is a big deal. It's a big investment. It's a big decision. So, and I don't take that lightly. And, I appreciate you trusting the process, trusting our network, trusting this, this part of our company. And so, we definitely appreciate, you having faith and kind of taking that leap, and buying a property out of state, right, for your first time, buying this asset without still having seen the property in person, right? I think that's a big limiting belief with people who are even considering buying a property out of state. They feel like they have to go there, inspect it, set eyes on the property, meet the team. But ultimately, we were able to overcome some of those limiting beliefs that a lot of other people have. So really, just appreciate you trusting the process. And ultimately, now kind of seeing what it's like on the other side, closing that first deal, and even looking at another deal now. So, that's really, really appreciate you kind of leaning into what we have to offer here.
Oh, yes. Because I'm one of those type of person that I really would love to actually visit the property, see it,
Mm-hmm.
meet the team and everything else. But but Google Maps does a pretty good job in showing you the neighborhood. So
Yep.
it was that, and also it's a leap of faith, also, because when you even when you think about it, I'm trusting people to help me manage a property that I've never actually met or even seen, besides seeing a photograph of them. And and um, but you do your due diligence, like anybody. You should all do your due diligence. You look up the company, see if there's any lawsuits, and how everything is going. But so far, everything has worked out. Clean record, everything. And yeah, biggest thing is your due diligence always, no matter what.
Absolutely. And that's, what smart investors do, right? I think the biggest risk in investing is not knowing what you're doing. And, you're obviously a smart individual. You're doing your homework. You've been through our programs. So you don't just take our word for it. When I present properties to you and say, hey, these are great opportunities, right? You shouldn't take my word for it, right? Which is why we have our education component. That's why you do your own independent due diligence and ultimately come to your own conclusions, because you're the investor, right? You're the one who's buying and owning these properties. So yeah, couldn't agree more. There's a level of safety in doing that homework yourself, which is I always encourage everybody to do. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, that's really awesome. So let's talk about the deal itself. If you don't mind, maybe just talking about kind of the numbers and you know, um, the financial projections. Kind of what do you expect out of this property? What caused you to say, hey, this was a good deal, and ultimately move forward and close on it.
What actually, the property it has been completely renovated inside out. Okay, is just about 1,300 square feet. Uh, the taxes a year it's only like about $3,000. I think it is. Is that correct? About 3,000.
Actually, it's much less. The annual taxes are less than $800. Actually, it's about $760. Yeah, per year.
I mean, when I showed this to my partner, which is my wife, she liked it. We show her the pictures. She loved it. Completely renovated, um, and it's rented out. So once that part she even really loved also, as myself, because now we didn't have to actually be looking for a tenant. It was already completely. It's actually rented out right now, so immediately you're you're earning money. Okay, uh, and the numbers worked out because if you don't mind, I think like I mentioned before, it's 1,300 square feet. The purchase price, if I could say it, 1,024,900. Well,
Yeah.
125,000.
Hmm.
Yeah. So with the taxes, like you mentioned, is $800. The state that I live, we're paying $8,000
Yeah.
in taxes, or even more. So, and even after you take a look at the rent roll that's coming in, you're almost at that mark that I guess everyone knows about, the 1% rule. You're actually there at that. And then looking at the growth of the home in the area, it's about on an annual basis about close to 4%, if I remember correctly, looking at the numbers. Um, and tax savings, that part I don't know too much about, the tax savings. But looking at the operating income on an annual basis, is generating about $13,000.
Yeah, no, it's pretty fantastic, and that's why we recommend some of these markets, these properties, these teams, in different places around the country. But in this market in particular, where I've been buying for 10 years, and a lot of my personal portfolios in, like, the numbers just work very well. Where you still, even in today's market, where it's 2025, we're still finding those 1% rule deals where, for example, this one is, yeah, $125,000, rents for just under $1,200 per month. And even after you delegate to third party management, you have your property taxes, insurance, your maintenance reserves. We're
Mm-hmm.
still looking at a 9 cap, right? 9% capitalization rate, which is essentially, if you're buying this property all cash, then you're basically getting a 9% yield on that investment, right? Like, you're getting 9% back
Mm-hmm.
every year in actual net income, which is pretty fantastic. When you're buying a single family home, right? And so that doesn't factor in appreciation, which in this market, is like 4 or 5%. I've actually seen higher than that over the past 10 years, but, we don't really like to bank on the appreciation. We like that cash flow. So, like you said, it's, roughly, close to $1,000 per month in net income from this property, which you can just enjoy year after year after year. And additionally, yeah, as far as the tax benefits goes, there is an opportunity to write off a large portion of that purchase price using depreciation, right? Using bonus depreciation, accelerated depreciation. And so, those are a little bit more advanced real estate tax strategies that are available to rental property investors, which is kind of the other part of the return that's outside of the cash flow, right? It's not just about what you make; it's about what you keep after taxes. So, we can definitely get into more of that. But assets like these just have so many different ways where you can actually make money and make returns on that investment. So, pretty fantastic. We'll show some pictures of the renovation, fully rehabbed house, top to bottom. Which is really what turnkey is all about. For those who don't know what that term is, you're buying a property that's been fully rehabbed. Really new systems, new roof, new floors, paint. I believe this property was torn down to the studs in the bathrooms and the kitchen, so it was kind of rebuilt in some of the main areas of the home, and
Mm-hmm.
it was delivered to you with a tenant in place. Cash flowing from day one. Which is typically how we like to structure our deals. So, so that's phenomenal. Yeah, I appreciate the breakdown, Adolfo, and glad both you and your partner liked the deal and liked all the numbers. You got to have that buy-in, from both
Yes.
sides.
And also the HVAC, the home has an HVAC, so it's a brand new HVAC. The boiler is also brand new, as well as the hot water tank. So everything in the house is actually brand new. You
Mhm.
know, um, but you're right. You always look at those numbers. The appreciation is one thing, but the tax advantage is another, and as well as the percentage, like you mentioned, it's about 9% earning on the money that even if I would have put it in a savings account, I would have been earning probably less than 1% on that and still be paying taxes and no tax advantage on that part. So
Hmm.
overall, if anyone has doubts about investing in property, I'm hoping that once you listen to this, you realize that there is growth, slow growth, steady growth, but there is light at the end, depending on what your goal is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, one property is amazing. It's a great start, but, imagine having, two of these, five of these, 10 of these, right? And that's really the power of just kind of getting started and buying one rental at a time. Because eventually, right, if you have, 10 properties, each producing $1,000 per month of net cash flow, and of course, the longer you hold these, typically the more cash flow they produce, that's a very respectable income that, arguably a lot of people can retire off of. So, it's these types of investments, with their tax advantages, with their relatability, with their ease of getting into, and, in this case, really just playing a passive role. Like, you are the owner, right? You're the owner of your business entity, which owns the property. So you're truly building a business that's producing predictable revenue, and you're really playing that ownership role and not having to do the day-to-day stuff. Like, I've been in property management, you've dealt with property management as well. I know, Adolfo, and, being able to delegate that to a trusted team who just does this every single day. So now you get to kind of sit back and truly play the investor, truly play the owner, and really enjoy your life, right? This is a business that you can design that can support your life, instead of you putting your life into a business. So that's one of the beautiful things about, rental real estate as a business, is that you can, it's a proven model, right? You're not trying to bring a new product to market. You're not trying to develop an app. You're not trying to do something brand new. This is a proven, time-tested strategy to build a business, to create wealth, and ultimately create your own retirement plan at the end of the day, which I think is something that, you're ultimately looking to do as well.
Yes, I agree with you 100% on that part, and you're absolutely correct. There's nothing more passive to a certain extent when it comes down to real estate. Um, I have no clue in developing an app, but coming down to purchasing property and looking at the numbers, that I could do. Um, at this stage, yeah, I may not be able to dabble into flipping homes, but at least at my stage right now, being able to do turnkey property is my forte, is my road right now. Eventually, I would like for that to lead to other endeavors, flipping homes or doing partnerships or ventures, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So yeah, as far as, next steps for Adolfo, it sounds like you're interested in, eventually dabbling into fixing and flipping, some of the more active types of real estate. Like why is this type of investment important to you? Like what does this really mean to you at the end of the day, buying this property and, just continuing to go down this path. I know you have another one under contract now, which is super exciting. So, like, kind of what is this going to unlock, would you say, in the next few years for you?
Well, for the next few years, like I tell my wife, I'm looking to leave my job in the next 3 to 5 years, depending how well everything else goes. Uh, and once I do that, I would like to be able to see, because like anything else, all right, for everyone that's out there that's looking to be flipping homes and either working, my situation, like I mentioned, is that I work long hours. I don't always have that amount of time to actually focus on one thing. But the way I look at it, or speaking with my wife, is that if I'm able to replace my income and then be able to, take care of my son, or do stuff with him, as well as manage some, not really manage, probably because most of them are out of state anyway. At least now they are, okay. But looking for that income to replace my income, making sure that that our current home is being taken care of, all the bills are being paid, still have some funds left over, that now I'll be able to say, okay, um, let's look at a property that we could actually flip. Because one, I don't know about many. I've always been responsible. So when I look at a house and I say, okay, let me put some money, it's kind of very difficult for me to go ask somebody to lend me some money to actually put down. I actually like doing that myself. So I'm looking to have that cash flow coming in, that once a deal comes along, I don't have no issue. I could just put it down and move forward. If the if it doesn't go through, it's on me. It's my money, not someone else's. Now, I hate having to lose other people's money. If I'm going to do that, it might as well be my own funds. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe in leveraging. So definitely, as long as it's a little bit more comfortable for me that if I'm going to leverage someone else's money, I know that I have my own funds in play. And if something goes wrong, I know that I'll be able to pay them back. Because at the end of the day, if another deal comes up, I could always return back to them, and they're more than happy to do a joint venture and join the deal, which is important to me, because it speaks about the individual character, okay, and that's key in this business. If you lose someone else's money and they can't recuperate, it's kind of difficult to actually ask them next time to pull up even a dollar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's very responsible, and I totally, respect that as well. You want, like, I always recommend, for people who are getting into fix and flips, do it with your own money first, and make sure that you can successfully execute on a fix and flip, and like get that track record first. So then it becomes easier to raise money from other people, and you can do so with more confidence. And, it'll just kind of just reduce the friction involved when you are going to raise that capital. You'll feel more confident. And so I think it's wise just putting yourself in that position where you don't really need to borrow the money, but once you are getting the deals on your plate, then it's almost out of necessity. You're bringing people in to make money with you, and you can do so with confidence, which is a different mindset than necessarily asking people for money. It's more like, hey, let's win together. Let's make money on this deal together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really exciting. And the picture you paint is something that I know a lot of people are working towards. Let's just say you're, a few years out, you've built this portfolio, you're able to kind of leave your job. I mean, like, how does that kind of compare to, I guess, what you're doing before, what you're kind of doing now? I know you mentioned you're working long hours. I mean, like, how would that kind of lifestyle compare as far as, just your day to day and your overall fulfillment with your work life balance?
Yeah, imagine, we're talking about in the future. If I'm able to leave my job, then what will I be doing? Maybe this will be part of what I'll be doing with the family. Get to enjoy the drama that I don't get to actually enjoy when I'm at work. Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good. Coming back to what you were asking me again, it's just having a game plan. I think what I'm actually doing right now also is putting things in place. Like right now, the area that you introduced me to, knowing who the players are, and setting up a deal. Next time, I want to do the same thing, like you mentioned. I would like to make this thing grow up to at least 10 or more, you know, in one area, because I just don't want to be going to different areas or different parts of the state, having a property here, property there. That just gets a little bit too encumbersome. But if I'm able to focus and obtaining in one particular area, stick to that area, and then once I meet my quarter, which I'm looking forward to being 10, then moving, whether if it's in the same area to a different location or to another state, looking to have that leverage of each of those property help me for the down payment or the purchase of another one. And I remember you asking me about what other investments that I'm doing. The other investment that actually we're doing is mortgage notes. And right now, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. It's like the funds that we actually do have in mortgage notes, or for whatever specific time, is only going to be there for that time. Then after that is to pull it out and move it into tangible properties. The nice thing about, mortgage notes is that, yes, I don't need to deal with the tenants and stuff like that. But like I told my wife, instead of just saving the money and earning pennies and stuff, if we put in the mortgage notes, we're earning better interest rates. Once it allows us to save some money, also be able to gain an income from it, and then be able to, at that point when it's time to consider whether to reinvest it or not, is just to pull it out and be able then to purchase another home. So that's so far that's the game plan right now.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic to, continue to grow in a certain market, especially under one manager. It just kind of simplifies things. Of course, you can buy properties in multiple locations. You do get that geographical diversification, which some investors do appreciate. But I think, if you're looking at simplifying things and just having truly a more passive experience as you scale, not to add additional complexity, then, kind of just having your portfolio in an area makes a lot of sense, right? So that you're only dealing with one manager or one market as well. So I think it's great until you get that critical mass of properties that can truly make a difference, and then you're going to have a lot of options. Once you get to that point, which is really exciting. The cash flow from those properties can start to truly add up, and you can just use that to buy more properties. And as the values grow, you can do a refinance, pull that out, and then use that to buy additional properties. So I think it's fantastic, right? So really exciting. And you also have that diversity with your mortgage notes, like you're doing lending as well, which is obviously another way to get into real estate on the lending side. So I think you have time, you've got options, you're doing a lot of the right things right now. So, you're going to have, a lot of different ways that you can grow your wealth and, just continue to invest. So, it sounds like you're going to be able to hit your goals. You're well on your way to achieving that. So really just excited to be a part of that process.
And staying in one location, I think, is the ideal thing for us right now. Okay. Leveraging each property to eventually down the road, like you mentioned, either leverage the property that we do own into a mortgage and be able to buy some additional one, or be able to build up the down payment to be able to purchase some other property, leveraging more, having a mortgage on them and stuff like that, and just continuing moving forward. That's the main reason for developing the passive rental income right now, is so this way I could replace my income, and then be able to move forward and utilize the income that the properties are generating, and try to leverage it and in other ways, whether the traditional way and putting a down payment and purchasing maybe 2 or 3 at one time, still turnkey, but eventually at that point, I would like to try to start doing some more stuff, because if I have more time on my plate, I don't just want to be doing turnkeys. I would like to actually gain that experience and that background all right, and analyzing property, especially, when you're considering the ARV and taking a look at whether the number works out, okay, and whether doing it with a partner or leveraging, private funds or more, and having the team in place, because without having a team in place, you can't do it. And that's, I guess, like my greatest fear is that one, not knowing, who to come to, especially in another state that I never lived in, to take care of the property or develop it and stuff like that. Because sometimes, I hear stories of why it's happened to individuals when they trust someone and it doesn't come through, and then all the trouble that you have to go through to find somebody else, to finish up the property. So I'm not looking forward to that yet, but that's part of the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the key thing is having, what I like about is being part of your team and the community is that no matter what state you go into or you're interested, someone hopefully knows someone there, and you have that introduction, warm introduction, and be able to work everything else out from there.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, those horror stories you're mentioning, I think they happen a lot more often than people might think. I have my own horror stories. I've had contractors lie to me, steal from me, take money and not apply it to projects and say that they are, send me pictures from another property that isn't even mine. There are some shady contractors out there, and unfortunately, you can fall victim to those kind of things. So like, I completely agree. Having a team in place, having the right team in place, a trusted team is arguably more important than having the right property, right, in the right market. Especially when you're doing it long distance, or really at any distance. So, that's really the power of the community. It's what we work on every single day to bring the right people together, that are all winners, helping each other. So, I definitely appreciate you saying that, because we do really love our community, and we pour into it just to make sure that we're all helping each other. We're all winning at the end of the day. So, so that's exciting. That's really exciting, Adolfo. Any like surprises or challenges through this process? I know it's been a little bit different than what you've historically done, in acquiring the rental properties that you have, in another state, in a newer market. Like, were there any surprises along the way? Were there, was it easier than you thought it was going to be, or kind of like what you expected, kind of when you started this whole process?
Actually, it was the same because, whether if I mention or not, I live in New York. It was the same process, except that in New York, you're usually dealing with an attorney. In this particular state that we bought in Tennessee, we still dealt with an attorney, but an escrow company. It was the same process. It was. I figured that there was going to be something different, but it was the same process. The attorney was very nice. He followed the documents electronically. We signed and everything. Everything went smoothly. I'll be honest with you. It went a lot smoother than when you actually go present yourself at a conference and you're ready to sign for the property and all that other stuff. It went. I was surprised. It went smooth. I thought it was going to be more involved or something, but it wasn't. So that fear has gone away already. So looking forward to the next one, which is going to be smooth. And something, what I realized is that the more you do it, the smoother the process gets, because now you know exactly what to do, to get to the end goal. All righty. Which is important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just those repetitions, you get more familiar with the process, with the people you're working with. And so, of course, you want to be careful with every acquisition, do the right due diligence, but it just becomes more natural, becomes more second nature. And so, you're doing this again, you're in the process again, another escrow, another property that you're looking at buying. So, you're well on your way to, hitting that goal, acquiring 10 of these and really building something meaningful. So yeah, I'm just super excited for you, Adolfo. And just kind of starting to wrap things up. Any advice to someone who's thinking about joining the real estate skills program and help you leveraging our help to build their portfolio? Someone who's looking at buying one of our passive income properties. Any advice to someone?
Yes, you won't go wrong in joining the team. As you could see, Ryan is one of the owners, and Ryan you get to actually speak to one of the owners if you need to. He'll guide, just like you've done with me. You guided me. I sent you comms. You've seen the comms. You agreed with my assessment, which makes the process easier. Some of the teams, I don't know about other teams, but Real Estate Skills, I do know. They stand by their program. They'll help you out and guide you along. So this way you could take off running. The process was smooth. I have nothing but gratitude and thank you for all your assistance and the team. And Ryan, your background has been quite helpful and enjoyable. And anyone that's thinking about you're on the fence whether to join or not, join. You're not going to go wrong. But you got to have a clear mindset as to exactly what you want to do. For me, it was originally, let's just do some wholesaling and stuff like that. But like I said, my long hours makes it very difficult. If your mindset is that, then focus on that. If you're as busy as I am in your industry, then consider probably doing the passive rental income first and building that and getting that experience, and then flourishing to other endeavors that you really would enjoy to do.
Well, I really appreciate that, Adolfo. Yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you, on the first property, and excited about this next one. I know it's still just the beginning, and I'm very much looking forward to just continuing to help you. No matter which direction you go, buying some of these passive income properties through our turnkey service, or even getting more involved on the active side, right? When you're ready for that, we've got your back. So, really appreciate the kind words, and it's been an honor to be a part of this process and really just help you, A to Z through this. So we're just getting started here. We'll definitely have to have you back on, after you buy this next one, and, probably a couple more, just to, kind of recap and just see how things are going, even further down the line. So really just excited to continue being a part of that process. Thanks for your time today. I know you got a lot going on. So really appreciate, you taking time out of your day to share your journey and celebrate your win here with the community.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. And to all, have a wonderful day. Again, if you're at that fence, just get your feet wet and join us. We're looking forward to seeing everybody.
Awesome, Adolfo. Thank you so much again. And for anybody else who's interested in acquiring turnkey rental properties through our network or getting help building a 6 to 7 figure real estate investing business, just go to realestateskills.com to get started.